At first glance, no kid should love the character of Squidward Tentacles. And yet, if you ask any fan of SpongeBob today who their favorite character is, a huge percentage of them are going to say Squidward. So I realized somewhere along our journey of watching this show, our feelings on Squidward changed. And mind you, it didn't happen in just one episode. Since there's no big overall redemption arc in Bikini Bottom, Squidward in Season 1 is, mechanically speaking, the same character as Squidward in Season 9. So if he didn't change, what did? To answer that, we have to go back to the very first time we met him, back to who Squidward was before any of us had any reason to feel sorry for him. If there's one word to describe Squidward, it's grumpy. He hates his job. He also fails at everything he tries. And if you keep going, he checks almost every single one of those no fun checkboxes in a kid's cartoon, making him a character archetype that usually exists to be the obstacle, the killjoy, or the one we're supposed to root against. That much is very obvious from the first season of SpongeBob. And the reason I brought this up here is because I realized something a few days ago. So I started watching SpongeBob from Season 1 again while trying to forget about everything. I did it because I wanted to try the whole if I could forget and experience it for the first time again kind of thing, right? And if you saw Squidward just from the first few episodes of him, he is that snobby character, right? In Help Wanted, he seems like he would become the snarky co-worker in the Krusty Krab for SpongeBob in future episodes. And in Bubble Stand, he won't let SpongeBob and Patrick have fun without trying to outdo them, even though a few minutes earlier, he thinks it's ridiculous to even try. Even more than that, in Culture Shock, a good chunk of the episode revolves around him being humiliated when his so-called sophisticated taste fails to impress anyone. Saying all that, it's very easy to get an impression of this guy thinks he's better than everyone, and he isn't. He's pretentious, bitter, sometimes full of ego, and yet he hasn't figured out his life enough to back up any of it. Whereas SpongeBob, in retrospect, seems like the saint in some of those episodes. SpongeBob often looks like he enjoys things as they are. He doesn't compare himself to other people and laughs more in a single episode than Squidward does in a full season. So I think this is where people, or mostly kids, start to generalize that SpongeBob is the fun one. Squidward is no fun. In fact, you might think of him as the bad example of adults for future reference. Since you don't have to be miserable like Squidward when you grow up, you could just be happy like SpongeBob. And so, because of that assumption, there's a few episodes where Squidward losing is the main joke, which feels good when it happens, like jellyfishing, where Squidward spends most of the episode in a full body cast and still gets stung by the giant jellyfish at the very end of it. Again, all because he thinks jellyfishing is such a ridiculous activity. Or maybe even Fools in April, where he's clearly being overly mean by pranking SpongeBob in front of everyone. And we kind of go along with it. I mean, of course Squidward got what he deserved. He's been awful all episode, but then certain episodes start showing us that he still has more to his character. Squidward isn't always just standing on the sidelines being miserable and missing all the fun. Sometimes he's right there in the chaos. He's just doing it his own way. Take Employee of the Month. You would think that someone like Squidward couldn't care less about these kinds of things, which he actually does. He outright calls it a scam.
Mr. Krabs gives you that award so you'll work harder for no extra money.
But as the episode goes on, SpongeBob keeps saying that the award does mean something. He even goes as far as convincing himself that Squidward only says it's worthless just to make him let his guard down, then claiming the victory at the very end. Then, when Squidward confronts SpongeBob for breaking his clock in an effort to sabotage him, he confidently says that he could get the awards if he wanted to, without so much effort. Which, of course, only makes SpongeBob more determined.
That's it, Square for Brains. That's it. I'm gonna show you how easy it is to win that award.
The rest of the episode is about them trying to sabotage each other just so they could reach the Krusty Krab first. They would throw obstacle after obstacle in each other's way, which escalated to the point where they tried to drag themselves while being strapped to a ship and a huge anchor. This shows us that Squidward really could do it if he wanted to. He just lacked the passion to do it most of the time. And the rare times that he does, it is mostly out of spite to make a point to SpongeBob or Patrick. As for episodes like Shanghai, he really showed us why he is the perfect person to complete the dynamic of the three. Maybe he's not the comic relief in the way SpongeBob is, nor the lovable idiot like Patrick. He's the bitter, sarcastic, slightly unhinged kind of funny person, just for the fact that he can be dragged into the dumbest situation imaginable while still saying exactly how stupid this is. So then we get this sort of realization that Squidward is a funny guy too. He just has his own taste of comedy. And somewhere along the way, we slowly realized he's not actually a bad person. I think no episode tells us better than Dying for Pie. One day, Squidward, trying to play along with the Employee Brotherhood Day for once, accidentally buys SpongeBob a pie made by pirates that turns out to be a bomb. But the moment he realizes SpongeBob is going to die from eating it, the guy doesn't run in regret. He spends the entire day trying to give SpongeBob the best last day of his life. He would sit through every annoying activity SpongeBob picks. He's miserable the whole time, of course, this is still Squidward, but he does it anyway for SpongeBob. And the thing is, nobody asked him to. SpongeBob doesn't even know he's supposedly dying. Squidward is doing all of this completely on his own, out of some sense that this is just what you do when someone you know is about to die, even if that someone drives you up the wall on a daily basis. Even in Hooky, when SpongeBob is about to get pulled away by the hooks at the very end, it turns out Squidward is the one doing it for the sake of teaching SpongeBob a lesson, since SpongeBob keeps playing with it even if he told them not to. I mean, granted, he does it willingly because he gets to humiliate SpongeBob in the process, but it's still a nice thing to do.
Do you think the lad has learned his lesson?
Oh, I think he'll remember this for a long time.
Squidward isn't going to make you feel good for getting his help, but when something is genuinely on the line, he'll be there. So then, if he's funny and he's a decent person who's capable of caring about people, why is he so grumpy? Why is he the way he is? Turns out the show has been telling us all along. We just weren't always seeing it. Squidward is not the luckiest person in Bikini Bottom. We rarely see the stars align for him to have the life he always wanted. He had to work very hard for each of his possessions. An episode like Can You Spare a Dime is a good example for it. After the whole fight about being accused of stealing Mr. Krabs' first dime, Squidward decides to quit the Krusty Krab on the spot, and he walks out for good. In fact, it might be the perfect time to really chase his long-term dreams, since, according to him, he could do anything he wants to, right?
I can become anything I set my mind to. I could be a football player or a king.
And then the next scene happens. He can't find another job, and soon he loses everything in his possession, including his paintings, which he eats, and eventually the only place he has left to go is the streets. Now, despite the rest of the episode turning out to be about Squidward being an ungrateful friend and keeps taking advantage of SpongeBob's kindness, down to visualizing his wildest dreams because he told SpongeBob to wear a maid costume while doing it, my argument is that Squidward is living the normal life in Bikini Bottom. Contrary to what he believes, Squidward can't just start picking up any hobby and be a genius in it, like SpongeBob did in some episodes, like Artist Unknown. Not to mention, outside of SpongeBob and Patrick, most of the people in Bikini Bottom don't seem all that keen on Squidward either, especially his longtime nemesis, Squilliam. He sure loves to rub the difference in their lives in Squidward's face. Now, it all might have to do with how Squidward treats people in the first place, but there's a chance it's the other way around too. Like, Squidward's grumpy because people were never really nice to him. It's two things causing each other, right? You might say that. That is not even taking into account some of the extraordinary experiences Squidward has to go through, like maybe SB-129, but those might be a special case. It's just think about how much weight one guy is carrying. There's not much working in your favor. Nobody really likes you, except for your two goofy neighbors who you also hate for some reason. And you know for a fact that life isn't going to be much better than this. You've tried before and failed miserably, so it's just surviving for now. Maybe all the grumpiness isn't all he is. It's just what's left in him. Who knows? So back to the question we started with. Why do so many adults grow up loving Squidward? Because, ironically, somewhere in our adulthood, we started living his life. You get a job, the job itself is fine, but maybe it's not what you imagined. Your dreams get pushed to the weekend, and then to the month, and then to someday. There's a day where you finally sit down to enjoy the one thing that brings you peace, and then your phone rings. It could be the boss's emails, or maybe some single brain-celled friend wants to hang out. And no matter how hard you try, life keeps finding new ways to interrupt the version of you that was actually happy. And yet, here's the thing, we don't love Squidward's life, we never wanted his life. If anything, we spent most of our childhood trying not to end up like him, and then we ended up like him anyway. What we love is him, because there's no bond quite like the one you get from pulling through the same thing as someone else. We love him the way you love a coworker who's drowning at the same job you're drowning at, someone who understands your world without you having to explain. Squidward didn't change. We did. We grew up. We got tired, and one day we looked over at the grumpy octopus we used to roll our eyes at and realized he wasn't the cautionary tale we thought he was. He was just early. And honestly, the more you sit with it, the more you start to realize this isn't just a Squidward thing. SpongeBob has been quietly doing this kind of secret messaging for decades, telling us about adulthood, about work, about the world we actually live in, all while disguised as a kid's show about a yellow sponge. If you've never noticed how deep that goes, you should check out my last video on the political genius of SpongeBob, because once you see what this show is actually getting away with, you'll never watch it the same way again. I'll see you on the next deep dive.